Hey, Gator Nation. Welcome back to Respect Our Decision Raw Reaction episode for the Missouri game. As always, with me is Mike.
What's going on?
And the hype man, Wes.
What's good?
All right, guys. We just going to come to y'all today with a little reaction from the Gators' 24-17 victory over Missouri. But as always, make sure you guys go download us on all your major podcast providers each and every week. Make sure you go ahead and check out our YouTube channel, Respect Our Decision. Go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get a notification every time that we upload more content. And we appreciate y'all, as always, doing that for us. Just want to give a big shout out to our sponsor real quick, Camwood Supplements. Make sure you go to camwoodsupplements.com. Check out all the products they have to offer, and make sure you use code RESPECT20 to get you 20% off your first purchase. And as always, guys, if you would like to support us as creators, check us out on Patreon, Respect Our Decision, and give us some love there if you would like to. We always appreciate it. Shout out to Utah Gator being our very first patron, and Brandon Stewart for also supporting us on Patreon. And with that being said, guys, we're going to jump right into this. We're going to share some reactions, some good, some bad, for this victory this week. First SEC victory of the season for the Gators. Like I said, 24-17. Guys, it was a mixed bag on this game. I mean, you're always happy to get out with a victory. But there's a lot to work on. I think we all can agree on that. A lot of opportunities. Mike, you want to start us off? I know you've got some things to say. You want to get off your chest? Go ahead and hit us up. You're muted, Mike. I know. Mike's tired, guys. He's had a rough weekend.
I actually, I was getting you guys. I would make jokes about you guys being muted. I actually pressed. I thought I pressed on mute. Guess I didn't. I promise. Anyways, I think it's time to stop solely blaming the linebacking core and start to truly look at the D line. I was looking specifically. We'll get into it later on some of the technique, including our star player, and it's piss poor to say the least. We're getting in addition to that, we're getting some players on the field who I've said since they were signed, if they see the field, we're in trouble. But initially, another thing on that, in addition to that, this third down issue we're having is now just I wouldn't just solely put on personnel. I think it's becoming a mentality problem as well, and that I want to say it comes down to coaching and like in terms of scheme, but like something's going on in terms of like you're lacking that mentality. And lastly, I'm sure we'll get down to this in depth. People really need to lower their expectations with AR. I am not saying the ceiling is still isn't high. He's still limitless in terms of his potential, but right now he's still a very young quarterback in terms of reps, in terms of just in terms of a lot of things, a lot of bad decisions. This should have been a blowout, and AR was a large part of the reason why it wasn't. So,
Wes, you what are your initial reactions?
Just echoing what Mike just said as far as our fans need to lower their expectations. That is, I couldn't say it, but I think AR might have had like 20 or 30 pass attempts, if that, coming into the year. And even though I said he had the capability to be the best player on the field when he steps on the field, I still feel that way. But it's a process of him maturing and becoming better. And like we said, we discuss some of those things later. Just to highlight some of the things that I did see positive, because I know people always say, well, you're always negative and down. Got to give 51 was everywhere yesterday. So, and Bernie has gotten, we've been on Bernie. Bernie has gotten better. So
Bernie played solid.
Absolutely.
Bernie played a solid game.
Better.
Or they get lost in the sauce and whether how we feel and we debate different things. I want to make sure I hit those two guys. 51 looked like another 51 from back in the day, and 2 was just he's getting better, and that's all you can expect from those guys. I mean, that's more than what I was down on Ventura. I wasn't like thought he could play like that. Not saying down, but I didn't know he could play like he was playing. And the guy has just been fantastic. So that was good to see from my defense on yesterday. Made it kind of hard for the quarterback a lot yesterday, but I was just happy that Napier we got our first win in this. We should have blown them out, missed some things, but we got to continue to get better. And those are some things that we obviously need to work on. Napier has been saying that since week 1, even after we beat and upset Utah. So I'm fine with where we're at as far as some things, but we got a long way to go on some others. So, like we said, we'll hit on some of those other things later. But good win, good first SEC win at home for homecoming.
Yeah, there's no such thing. I know we always, that's old cliche. There's no such thing as a bad win. But you can have bad things in a win, and there was a lot of. We kept these guys in this game way too long. We allowed them to be in the game way too long. But before I get into some of that, I want to give a major shout out to Jadon Hill. That young man has come a long way back and made 2 fantastic interceptions in what appeared to be man coverage, which, wasn't run enough to me. But I mean, I'm not the guy that calls the scheme. I'm not the one that watches the practice. I don't make those decisions. Fantastic story for that young man to come back from what he's come back for, to be maybe outside of Ventrell the player of the game yesterday. I don't believe there's much argument in that. The running back crew struggled a little bit in the first half, looked very solid in the second half. Trevor just continues to look like he's just going to be a special player here for a long time, or for at least the next 2.5 years. Johnson continues to look like why he was brought here to be. Osiris continues to be a monster. I don't know why we don't seemingly run behind him more, but once again, I don't call the plays. I don't know the scheme. Burning looked very solid. Gervon Dexter looked a lot better yesterday than he had in previous games. Upon the replay I watched today, he blew up his man quite a few more times this week than he has in previous weeks. Trey Dean made some plays. Up in the run game. So for all the bad that you want to talk, he made some good plays too. I'm not going to just sit here and dwell on mistakes. But man, whew, I'm so tired of watching soft zone. I can't stomach it. I mean, I'm just tired of watching soft zone. Had some drops yesterday. I know, AR dropped one right into I believe it was Frazier's hands in the end zone. I know the play wouldn't have counted anyway. That doesn't matter to me. I want to see you make the catch. I love Justin Shorter. He dropped the ball that AR dropped into his hands right on the sideline that should have been caught. I know he rolled out of bounds, but guess what? You want to play at the next level, that's a catch you have to make. Surprising stat I saw today from our buddy Nick De La Torre at On 3 and of Stadium Gale. Gators being in the lower end of penalized teams in the country. I mean, great to see. Great stat. Something, as he said, we're not used to seeing. So I know Billy, that was a focus of Billy, was to clean up penalties, and you're seeing that. There were not very many penalties called yesterday at all. Big props to Xavier Henderson on a big punt return yesterday. It was good to see that. Of course, Our fan base being our fan base. Well, if it was anyone else, it would have been housed. I mean, come on, guys. At some point, you got to just give the kid credit for a good play. I mean, just come on. I mean, we're the most nitpicky fans in the world sometimes. And I get it. I mean, I get it. We've watched bad special teams for so long. And speaking of bad special teams, we got to try something different on long kicks because this kid ain't getting it done. Sorry, that's 3 straight misses, I believe, from what, 45 or more. I don't know exactly what the numbers were, but that ain't working either.
I think his long is 50. I think he hit 150, and everything else has been.
Everything is pulled. He's just missing. I don't care what it is now. Next man the hell up. I say it every week.
But would you take, if you knew if he's automatic 45 in? I would.
If he's 45 in, put him in.
If you're 40, 45 in, auto, I'll take it all day. Because everyone wants.
But hey, then try the other kid. If you're gonna,
he's obviously not getting it done. Like he's on Trey Smack's on scholarship. You got to remember this.
He's your kickoff guy too. He kicks off every kick.
Smack ain't on Smack. There's a reason for this. So this guy's your best option. Apparently is.
Well, Smack is a freshman, and Smack's doing your kickoffs every kickoff.
But he obviously can't kick field goals right now.
Well, neither can this guy.
Pardon?
Neither can he.
From a particular distance, yes. But like if you get,
we're not kicking him from there. We're not. That's not the conversation.
I understand, but I'm asking. What's up, Wes?
Let me say this. What I think is, against Missouri, before you play Georgia, before you play Texas A&M, against Missouri, you try those kicks to see if he can do it. Now you know when you're in that particular position on the field, to Mike's point, you go for it. If it's 4th and 3, you're not kicking no more. You don't kick that against Georgia. You don't kick that against Texas A&M. You're not probably kicking that against LSU this week. Now you go for it.
Then guess what? Punt the ball.
Yeah, but at the same time, you say because it's Missouri. Hey, we beat Missouri by 7 points, Wes. Hey, Wes, how many points did we beat USF by? We're not good enough just to try stuff in games. I hate to break it to you. We are not good enough.
One of your points.
It either happens in practice or it doesn't. You can maybe try stuff before the half, but to try this willy-nilly stuff, but in the games, unless besides Eastern Washington, we're not good enough.
But here's the thing. We've all said it in our game breakdowns before the game, field position.
Correct. But I think my guess is he's consistent within 40 yards, and I would take that.
Then within 40 yards, kick it. That's fine.
All right.
But my thing
punt it. If you're not, then punt it and quit giving them good field position.
But what if he's 40% and he'll take that what's it called that percentage, plays the odds for the 20 yard difference.
Then you're you're betting on a defense that hasn't been that great.
Hey, a lot of people get paid a lot more money.
I understand
I don't even get paid money.
But we're here to talk about what our thoughts are.
My thought is I'm not willing to take a 20-yard difference.
That's my point. That's why I was saying you go for it if it's 4th and 3. Because you're really netting nothing if you run it.
Do you not recall the Tennessee game?
We went for it every time.
That's what I'm saying. Like we do go for it.
That's what I was saying. To your point, Mike, when you said Trey Mack is obviously not hitting those, he may be hitting those in practice. So you give him the shot, and now he missed 2, so you know he'll never do it again. I wasn't saying you try that against. We're not that good. I was saying he gave him the opportunity against Missouri, so you won't get those opportunities again against Texas A&M, against Georgia, unless it's the end of the half. But we needed to win the game. That's the only time you kick those now.
I guarantee you, next week LSU. He's not giving him that opportunity.
No,
he's either going for it, or he's punting.
You had your opportunity.
And I mean, I understand what you're saying. And Smack isn't your kicker in those situations right now. It's And I must say, I'm gonna butcher his name, Malayek.
Yeah, it's a walk on. He was 1 of 3, but he did get a 37-yarder,
and that's great. What I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Either you have 2 choices in this situation. No, you have 3. I apologize. From now on, at that distance, you have 3 choices. You try the other kid, which is probably not the choice. Like you said, he's probably not doing it in practice.
Yeah, smacks.
You either go for it or you punt the ball and play field position.
Okay. And what? Hirsch is the head coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. God forbid.
I'm
God
a defensive-minded head coach. I punt every time in that position.
You punt every time. Well, I mean, yeah.
It depends on
Brent Venables eats your heart out. So, but really quick, what's your point on the field? Where is it a 45-yard field goal? Is it a 40-yard field goal? What is it?
I don't know. I don't watch the practice.
Just
if it's outside of 40, you're either doing one of two things right now. At this point, outside of 45-yard attempt, you're either going for it, which you've shown you've done pretty well at. But you got to have the right play call, which you're absolutely sure of, and it also depends on the opponent, and we know that.
Okay.
The defensive line was getting pressure yesterday, especially early. So I punt the ball.
It's kind of subjective to me because it depends on the down and distance to Hirsch. If it's 4th and 3, 4th and 2, 1, you're going to probably more likely go for it. But if it's
I was very surprised the first time he didn't go for it. I was very surprised.
Yeah. But I mean, to my earlier point, I guess you give the guy, you see if he can do it. He did it in practice. Let's see if you can do it in the game. We were up 10-0 though.
But I will also say this. The AR in the first half, no, I probably would not have gone for it.
We were up, and I'm glad you brought that up because you have to remember we have a quarterback who is not playing consistent football. So you have to keep that in mind. So I'm
a son of a defensive football coach, and my grandfather was a defensive football coach, and they're those guys that would have said you punt the ball every time. Now, the defense that showed up in the first half did not show up in the second half either. Now, let me say that. I will say, let me correct that. The defense in the first half was screwed by the offense. The time of possession was so lopsided in the first half that it was just, I knew the defense was going to cave because the announcer said it all during the game. Oh, look at Missouri. They substitute off their defensive line every second, third play. We don't have that luxury. And it shows. I mean, we just don't.
We play a lot of guys up front, though, except for one position. We kill that guy.
No, well, Cox doesn't come out much either. Gervon and Cox both played 50-plus snaps.
Yes, and it's getting to a point, and like we knew. I mean, there's a lot more, wear and tear on the interior, but like I said, we'll get maybe a little further in depth on this. Maybe we can talk on it now. Gervin's, I understand getting tired. He's getting manhandled in there a little bit sometimes. Like I saw one of the plays. I mean, it was bad, horrible technique, and literally just got manhandled.
And he did. And then, but there were other plays he blew his man up and was in the backfield. And both the interceptions, he was in the backfield.
No, you can have a bad rep. You can have a bad rep.
I'm not talking about bad reps. I'm not talking about like, I'm just talking. This man got manhandled. You can lose your gap. You can, maybe,
can you hear me?
Double team. No, he got thrown.
I'm saying, when did the play happen?
It was Bernie over pursued. So it was about it was a combination. I want to say it was like the third quarter. I could be wrong, but bottom line, they showed I saw the end zone cam. It was awful.
What happened?
It was awful.
You said you and Hirsch both said him and Cox played 50-plus snaps. What happens to a defensive player when they're tired?
They play lazy. They don't go. They don't give as hard.
But once again, going into the season, you're gonna know this, okay? So, like, end of the day, if you're on the field, there's no excuses. In between the lines, if you're hurt, I don't care. Mentally outside, there's no excuses. If you then tap out, okay? If you're tap out or play, period.
No, yeah.
Because you're making
now you can't raise your hand and say I need to come off. I mean,
because you either if you're a detriment to your team, tap out. People do it all the time. Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins, they do it all the time.
That's been my argument to a lot of people that have talked about, well,
and I'm getting tired of hearing it.
I saw a lot of
he
people
plays
say
too much, then tap out, because there's another guy there who you get a quick rep. So,
well, there were a lot of people. I know there was a lot of information out there this week about Gervon was how many snaps he had played and whatnot, and he'd played too many snaps. And my argument to that is always what you just said. You can if you're too tired to go, pull your butt off the field. Know when you're too tired. Know when you don't have anything maybe for that next 3 to 4 plays enough in the tank. And if Sapp or whoever may it be can't come in and spell you for 3 or 4 plays, come on, man. I mean,
talk to the coaches. Yep.
These are 4 and 5 star players. Sapp, I know, was. And I mean, if he can't come in and give you 3 reps, how can he be any worse? How can he be any worse than a guy that's so too tired to play? He can't be.
Gervon Dexter is too good to be thrown like he was.
He's too damn good and too big to be thrown.
He was thrown like a rag doll. I'm just playing out what happened. Like, I love he's a great guy, great teammate, whatever. Right? I'll hype him up, first round talent.
Hey, if you want to, I understand you want to play and you want to be on the field. That's to be commended. In one aspect, that's to be commended. Another aspect is we have to know when you're hurting your team.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're not going. That's enough of just like we say our instant reactions. We're going to.
Not everyone can be Greg Jennings. Putting the team.
He put the team on his back. All right.
Only
even when Darren Sharper was coming, he put his damn team on his back. Shout out to one of the best video game moments of all times. If you don't know, go look up Greg Jennings on YouTube.
Sharper.
Greg Jennings put the team on his back with a broken freaking leg. He was Kurt Angle before Kurt Angle. Anyway, guys. All right, let's dive into the stats of this game for a little second, because this will give us a better outlook. And I want to start with Missouri and just look at a few things with Missouri. Once again, they were able to run on us way too easy. I know the stat line will say 3.6 yards a carry, but their leading running back had 117 yards at a 6 yard a carry clip. That's way too much. And it was too easy in a lot of instances. It was way too easy when they needed, that went back to what I said about chunk yardage and getting them in 3rd and longs. And when you're being able to run 4 or 5 yards a carry, you're not getting 3rd and longs. And a quarterback of Cook's abilities, and they're not that great, going 22 of 30. He threw 2 bad picks. Let's not say that. I mean, Hill did a great job, but going 22 of 30, and I didn't even look at the 3rd down stats, but they've got to be fantastic for them. Guys, what are we doing? I mean, whoever, take it. One of y'all, tell me, what are we doing?
Sorry, hit it. You can take it, Wes.
Yeah, I always said, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, the best 3rd down defense is what you do on 1st and 2nd down. You put a team, but then in this game, in the 4th quarter, did it matter? We made like big plays to put them in 3rd and long, and I think we went dime. I will have to rewatch because we had I think Jalen Kimber might have been playing like the dime DB, and he was still able to convert. It was blowing my mind. I wanted to hit the TV. That's how angry I was. I was like, the defense does the job on 1st and 2nd down, put them in 3rd and longs, and they convert each time. I don't know if you put pressure on the quarterback in that position, or if you're going to play that dime and keep everything in front of you, or play your particular zone. If that's what we're being taught, and to me, that's Tony's expertise, which I like the dime. You get all your fastest DBs on the field, and we have a lot of. We always say DB is like our strength. We have a lot of guys, as you can see. Jaden Hill just comes back and gets 2 picks in this game. We have Jalen Kimber. We have Abraham. I love it, but Mike, I know you love Travis Johnson. We don't have.
Whoa!
We don't have Perkins between
simmer
Perkins.
down. Let's don't no, simmer that down. Let's get this on record. And simmer down.
Nickel. That's the problem, Hurst. The nickel spot. We need a nickel, man. I don't know if you put Devin Moore there.
Who do you want? You want Perkins?
And
no,
hold
Either.
Hold on. First off, while you mentioned Moore, and we didn't say this, Devin Moore was out for yesterday's game, and no reason I've heard for yet was given. Yeah. So I don't want to speculate on why Devin was out, but he did not play yesterday, just so everyone knows. 2, before we get into a point I know Mike wants to talk about, I'm going to say something because his name just got brought up. Get Jadarius Perkins off my field. I believe it was, 3rd and 18? And they threw it out on him. That man didn't break down.
3rd and 22, and I want to touch on it as well.
I'm going to tell you right now, that is some of the worst. And I don't care who gets upset. That is some of the worst football technique I have ever seen in my life.
It wasn't even a good miss.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. His technique was
terrible.
You know what? People miss plays. I'll take
There's 2 things that didn't happen. A, you either at least break your feet down or take an angle. And he did neither. He just dove.
He rounded it off.
He could have waited on him. He could have cut him off, waited on him, let him catch the ball.
You had sideline leverage, and you didn't even use it. You just dove at his feet.
No, that's what he wants a nickel, man. What are you talking about?
I don't want either one of them.
Let me tell you now, that kid, you should have just told him to go back over and join his old ex-teammates at Missouri because he was playing for him anyway.
Is he on the take?
I don't know, man, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is my rant for this show, is get Jadarius Perkins off of my field. He couldn't have hit a tackling dummy yesterday with that technique. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that if I upset anyone, maybe you're related to Jadarius Perkins or whatever. I'm sorry. But he don't need to be on the – when they watch that tape, he ought to hang his head and walk out of the room because that was terrible. All right. That's all I'm going to say.
No, you're fine. I give you that because I wanted to see more Perkins. I was like, I don't like Johnson. I don't know if we have to put one of Kimber or Abraham – somebody else, since we're so deep at DB, we need one of those guys in that slot.
This is why this staff is taking so many flexible corner safety hybrids in this class is for that situation, to have kids that can play that position because we don't have them right now, guys.
Nope.
Don't act like they haven't been tried out in practices.
I'm sure they have.
No,
they all must be terrible.
It's just a highly difficult position because you have a 2-way go.
We haven't had
to be physical against the run.
Oh, I'm not slighting the difficulty of the position. But I'm just saying right now, the University of Florida in 2022 does not have the athletes to play that position.
We haven't had it since Chauncey. Everyone was, good, Chauncey's gone. Addition by subtraction. I was like, you guys don't understand the position.
I'm more pissed off at Dan Mullen for his terrible ass recruitment.
I understand, but let's get rid of Trevez. For who? He's not playing. He got better from last year, and he's playing decent ball. Okay, they screwed a pooch on Tennessee, yes, but he's playing decent ball. He's not playing bad football, okay? He's not playing bad football, Wes. Stop. Okay? He played overall?
Yes.
Okay. We can agree to disagree on that. But he's not a negative football player.
Who can we say on the defense is playing great ball?
Miller.
You're right, but I think
he's not playing great ball. No, because he's playing good. He's playing very good football. He's a detriment in coverage. He's not playing great football. We don't have a great football player. Our best football player is Brenton Cox.
And he doesn't know how to break down and make tackles either.
I haven't. I mean,
I would say 1A, 1B to Miller. Miller and Cox are our best two players on defense.
Cox flashes absolute brilliance, and then will look absolutely boneheaded a play later.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that in a little bit.
And the fumble, I'm still mad at Brenton Cox about the ball that was snapped past the quarterback. Anyway.
Yeah, point. Who is the best player and who's been the most consistent and you can tell the difference when that player is not in. Have we really seen Miller get beat on like?
But that goes on once again. You can also attribute that to lack of depth as well. In terms because we have, for example, Powell to bring in as opposed to Scooby Williams, who can't play. He's not that good at Mike, and you can tell the significant drop off. So yes, is Miller a very good football player? Yes. However, if you're going from a let's just say a Ferrari to on the court, you can notice a huge difference as opposed to if you go Ferrari to a Lambo. So whatever your preference is.
I got your analogy. Yeah. The same thing, and maybe Hirsch has been watching Cox as well. We all been watching Cox, but that's why I'm saying like, yeah, like Cox is more flasher playing the position. He's a 5-star recruit, so of course you see the explosion, you see the stuff that he does on film, and he's become more disciplined. But sometimes he'll try to cheat, and that's where his problem comes in. He don't keeps it contained like he should. So when he plays discipline,
absolutely
plays his area and keeps everything in, he can be the best player on the defense because he's that good. But it's him playing discipline every play. Miller's gonna be disciplined every play, and I'll take that over the guy that's gonna flash and maybe make that mistake every now and then.
For sure, Mike, go ahead and talk about the thing I know you wanted to bring up.
Oh well, I just think obviously third down is pretty much our Achilles heel, and I had Perkins at the top of the list for that, but it's what I said before. It comes down to mentality. Even if it's like in the stands, we've been there with Jeff Collins. The days when we had those guys jumping on those two students, forgot their names, whatever. Jumping up on the sideline. There's a reason the fans do the little, the money down. There's a reason for that. That didn't come out of nowhere. Yeah. So when you have that, what's up, Hershey? A quick question?
No, let me ask you this: how much of this? And I know a lot of people say, well, it's been 6 games now. It's been 6 games. How much of that mentality is still carried over and still hard to break from what we've dealt with the last 2 years, especially?
No, especially that's a phenomenal question. I was going to get into that actually. So it's going to depend on the player. So you get a player like Trey Neen, he is who he is. Okay,
exactly, and that's kind of what I was getting at. The habitual problems that we have on the defense.
I don't want to say Trey Neen is a bad true. You have like quote unquote bad teammates. You have Jacob Copeland, who's a cancer. You got to get rid of that cancer. Or it'll spread. Trey Neen is who he is. But he doesn't look like to be a cancer. He just looks to be selfish football player in terms of his production. But he's not going to cost his team the game. He's not going to like Trey Neen, for example. Like I don't want to get into.
Well, you have a player like Trey Neen. He knows he's gone. He knows this is it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't see him as a bad teammate. Like in terms of
I don't mean like that, but like
as opposed to a Jacob Copeland.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also
go ahead, Wes.
I also think that Trey Neen is playing out of position. I think his freshman year, he was great or good opposite C.J. Henderson playing corner. If you go back and watch him play corner his freshman year, he was good. When Marco tore his ACL, he was good.
Yeah, but he was a lot.
And they put him back there. He started getting cooked. So
they moved him to nickel when Marco came back.
Again. He did boundary again.
No, he never did. They moved him to nickel. They had CJ and Marco, and they put him at nickel, and whatever you want to call it. What did
he might be a little too bulked up now, though.
Yeah. I'm saying that they should have never moved him. What did Grantham call that position? That nickel position? Star. When they moved him to star, and they had CJ and Marco came back off his injury, that was the end of it. He has not been the same player since he moved from corner. Marco came back.
But they're right though. Like end of the day though, he doesn't have the hips long term, especially in the NFL, to play.
Yeah, he's big now. They bulked him up.
No, he never did. That's why people I think it was Tennessee and us are the only teams recruiting him as a corner. That was it. So he is a safety. He's just not
he was
that
in
good.
that in between. He was very much in that in between kind of.
But just what it comes down to mentality. Like you're gonna have that. Like no, we are gonna get off the field. Like that. And what your question is, Hirsch. Yeah, some of the players, maybe Dean, won't have that. Miller will, but I mean, it's just tough. It'll take maybe a recruiting class or two to bring, or certain transfers to bring your guys in. You're not going to do it overnight. And certain programs, the first year coaches, you're seeing that you're not going to get that overnight. You are, on certain aspects, like say discipline in terms of penalties. Yeah, you can take care of that. However,
as an example, I was going to use is like we know Jason Marshall is a good corner. I mean, we know he's a good corner.
Yeah,
but it's going to take some time. He played on a terrible defense last year with a terrible mentality.
But that shouldn't affect you personally.
I'm not saying personally. I'm just saying it's just
some guy. If you
I'm just
are
saying
that
I
dude,
don't believe that the attitude is completely converted yet as a team defense to come into the huddle and be like, all right, guys, we're going to get off the field right now. I just don't feel like it's there yet.
No, that's the problem. And that's what I'm going to, that team mentality. Like 3rd and 22, like if Perkins screwed up,
I'm saying that overshadows personal the
I agree.
The skill, the personal skill.
I agree, and it's not there yet. And I think a lot of people aren't saying that, but at the same time, it's not. You cannot put solely on Tony. I'm watching.
Oh, I agree to that.
Particular technique. Tony, you're gonna blame Tony for that 3rd and 22 play. It's like people want Napier. Oh, you can't always blame Napier. I'll just go to the Kentucky game. I don't know why I'm shaking your head, Wes, but like you can't blame someone if you can't complete a simple throw. So on the defensive side of the ball, if you can put a player in the flats, and if he can't break down for a 6-yard gain on 3rd and 22, you can't draw it up better than that. And on top of that, if you have arguably your most talented player getting thrown 2 gaps over by somebody who won't even sniff the NFL, how can you game plan that? Kerman Dexter, worst case, he loses a battle. Okay. Goes from C gap to B gap. Not thrown off his feet from C gap to A gap. Should never freaking happen. Okay. Man up. Take care. Get off the field. You have to. We already spoke on that. Cox on one of the touchdown runs, he bounced to the outside. He's sitting there playing hero. I love Cox, arguably the most talented player on defense. He's playing hero ball. He stopped doing it as much this year. Sometimes hero ball, the greats do it. A lot of people in the NFL, they play horrible technique, but they're so good that they can get it done. However, it's highly risky. He peeked inside, he run it back, bounced to the outside. All right, that cost us a touchdown. Summerall, I saw him on the field. I've said it since he signed. Seemed like a nice guy. I don't know, but he's not. Once I saw him playing significant snaps at the University of Florida, I knew it was not a good thing. He's just not. Pardon?
Shout out to, and we haven't mentioned him yet. Shout out to Princely. Princely played a really good game yesterday.
I think you're reading my notes. Princely, he had his patented spin move, man. I'm glad he. I love it. It's he's a great pass rusher. He people know that spin move's coming. He still gets it done. But it just come and I did some West homework. So I specifically, I'll say it for him. McClellan number 7. Yeah. Well, the thing about he's young, but he's still learning. But it goes to why is he not starting?
Body too.
He's not starting for a reason. Okay, there's a couple plays you cannot, especially in this scheme, you cannot let the O-lineman. Listen, in general, you can't let the O-lineman get to the second level unless you're a straight penetration scheme on the defensive line, and that's what we are not. So you cannot rule thumb on a defensive lineman. You cannot let offensive lineman cross your face. Well, if he's trying to climb. So what he's trying to do, he's trying to backdoor. You're like, oh, he got penetration. Well, what if the O-lineman wants him to do that? At that point, no. You get the O-lineman trying to climb. And at that point, let the linebacker read the play take care of things. That was just on one of them. There was another one. Yeah, and he's not holding on to his, once again, he's not holding on to his man. So just check out those plays. Really look at what number 7's doing. Yeah, he's highly talented player, but there's a reason he's not starting. He needs to be in the rotation, but at the same time, he's playing hero ball, or he just may not realize it. And that goes down to you can physically be there, you can, make some plays, but at what detriment to your team? If you make a play 20% of the time, 80% of the time, you're out of position playing hero ball, or you just didn't even know what you're doing, you are affecting 2 other linebackers. You can't have that. You can't have linemen climb because you don't have the athletic ability to make these backdoor plays. Okay? So that's all I really wanted to get into in terms of that. Players, we do have talent. The mentality is slowly changing, but people, especially when they run those replays on big plays, look at the mistakes that are occurring. And there's certain things you just can't coach up. Like you can have the perfect play call, but if the player doesn't make the play, it's not on the coach. So before you hop on, message boards, Twitter, whatever, just truly take the information in, and that's all I have to really say.
I saw people yesterday. I mean, obviously Tony's going to get the first and foremost of the heat because he's.
And it's wrong though, because and I
know.
Yeah.
And then I saw people yesterday slandering Corey Raymond. Oh, he's not teaching good technique. Well, you know what?
That's the type of person you just mute.
Guys, I mean. The man's body of work speaks for himself. Anyone that thinks that this is going to change in 3, 4, 5, 6, the first season even for some of these guys, you're mistaken. What you want to see, and we've seen it, we said it all along, is progression. Yeah. Now, some of that stuff. Go ahead, Wes.
So Jaden Hill had bad technique. That's what they're saying?
Yeah, exactly. That was my exact rebuttal to that was you saw Jaden Hill in man coverage break inside the receiver twice for picks. We hadn't seen that. I mean, Kimber's done it once this season. Hill's done it twice now. We hadn't seen it previous seasons almost at all. So that's progression to me. Now, I don't know the reasoning for some of the soft zone calls. I don't know. But once again, that goes back to who may have missed their assignment, who might not have been in the right spot. Obviously, Perkins missed his tackle when they gave him a 6-yard tackle on a 3rd and 22. You have to execute. A coach can't get on the field and execute for you.
Exactly, and that goes that goes to you and Mike's point. And Mike, I wasn't shaking my head in disagreement.
Oh, my apologies.
My head in agreement when they say when you were saying the same thing that Hirsch is reiterating now. Perkins was in position to make the play. Yeah. How's that Tony's fault? He took a bad angle because he was a bad athlete. I don't know if y'all watch that guy that does those things that he does on the TikTok where he's in the coach's thing and he's pissing down. That's exactly what Perkins did. He pissed down his leg. He wasn't an athlete.
Oh, Coach 30? Yeah, Coach 30 would eat that kind of play up.
That's exactly.
Luckily, we won.
Yeah, thank you.
He was an athlete and he didn't make the play. He was in position to make the play. You cannot blame that on Tony. You cannot blame that on
oh no, people are always going to blame whoever else they can to get their tweets off. I mean, it's just what it is. But like Mike said, that's the person you got to mute and say that individual doesn't know jack, what about football. I mean, it's just what it is. You watch a guy in position 6 yards down the field when they need 22, openly just piss himself on a tackle. The play was right. The call was there. But anyway, let's move on, guys.
And at the second, it's not to be too long-winded. Just at the same time, Bernie, I'm not the biggest fan of Bernie at all. I think everybody and their mother knows this, but and I like Gurr. However, if I can't blame Bernie for I can't truly blame Bernie for over pursuing when I see someone getting thrown from C gap to A gap. You can kind of, or B gap to whatever. So I can't. It's just. You got to be fair. It's play by play. Obviously, you're going to look at everything in its totality, but it's just that's what it truly comes down to.
I will say, and we talk about guys making progression. Bernie has made progression this year. He has gotten better game to game. I did see what Bateman got. Well, yeah, I did see guys, especially on like zone reads and things like that yesterday, take their assignment better.
Exactly.
One guy tackles the quarterback, one guy tackles the running back. Not both guys run to the quarterback. Running back runs outside. That was a lot better yesterday. It's progression, but you have to look deep to see that. You can't just watch the game and be like, oh, well, I don't care what happened on first and second down. Look what happened on third down. You can't look at it that way. You have to look at, well, guess what? We had him in a third. Why did we have him in a 3rd and 22? Guys did their jobs on first and second down. Someone screwed the pooch on third.
They listen to us.
Yeah. Let's shift it for a minute here and look at Florida's offense for a minute yesterday. Something else we had brought up on our game breakdown was that Missouri's defensive line was going to cause some problems, and they did early. They did. Got a lot of pressure and had AR chopping his feet probably a little more than he needed to. He did not look comfortable in the pocket in the first half at all. Even when I don't feel like there was a need for him to look as uncomfortable in the pocket as he did at times. I think a lot of phantom pressure, maybe, if you will, that he just kind of was like, oh, I got to get rid of it, and made some quick decisions. But we're gonna talk about AR in just a second. Let's progress down a little bit. Running backs, like I said, in the first half, not so much. Second half looked a lot better, but I think that also came with AR running the ball. AR started running the ball, running gaps opened up. It's amazing. It's almost like, you create doubt amongst the defense on who's going to get the ball. Wasn't real thrilled with the receiving core after they had looked really good the first couple of games yesterday. Like I said, some drops. Nobody really stood out yesterday. Shorter, 1 catch, 20 yards. Sanders, 1 catch, 12 yards. I mean, Zipper had 1 catch after he's looked like he was really putting it together. But, I don't feel like the offense.
He let me down a little bit.
Impact
player.
I don't get it, man. I don't get how the step back to me was. I don't want to give, Missouri gave Georgia trouble, but we should have had these guys put away pretty early, and offense just didn't show up in the first half. I mean, what were y'all's takeaways from that? Mike, go ahead. You go first this time. Wes went first last time.
I mean,
and if we want to go ahead and get to the kind of the root of what I know you think is kind of some of the problem yesterday, go ahead and jump.
I mean, anytime in defense, I'm a defensive player, as I'm sure you guys know very well, know well by now, and give up 17 points. Say what you want about anything, give up 17 points. You should easily win the game, especially with the talent that we have. And Missouri is it's just overall not a good football team. And the one thing was, what was the main question, her? Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I know what you kind of feel like is the root, and I know we said we were going to get to it in a minute, but let's just go ahead and jump right into it, because that's where we're leading to. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're leading to.
All right, it's consistency as a whole. Let's start, and then I'll narrow down to the main. It's O-line, played decent, but I mean, just once again, talent considered, they're not playing well. They're not. It's a bad scheme fit. Ekubon played decent at best. I saw one play was literally at least 6 yards in the backfield. It was utterly ridiculous. You can't. You just can't let that happen. I don't care if you got to do a holding penalty. It's too risky. Like, just whiplash. Like, he's too much of a veteran to let that happen. Is the bottom line. but this O-line is just habitually underperforming, and it's just there's no excuses for it, with the exception of Osiris. But this is moving. I'm excited for the running backs. I'm glad to see Etienne truly get essentially a double carries with Naquan. It looks like we're turning in the right direction with that, especially to end the game, him to be the closer. And I think that's moving forward is a huge step in the direction of the offense. And kudos to Napier for finally acknowledging who the best backs are. And Naquan only had like 5 carries on the day. So the main thing comes down to AR. Okay. Yes, there were a couple of true drops. One that Reynolds was borderline, because that was defended pretty well in the end zone. So I think we got to acknowledge that. But even the one that sailed and wound up being a pick right before the half, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a little bit high. 2 hands on the ball, so no excuse technically. But end of the day, what do we say after Tennessee? I said it's a great game, but you got to be consistent, period. And you cannot, and 8-14 for 66 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and fumble loss. You got 1 touchdown and 2 turnovers for 66 yards. What is this? So if anyone wants to make excuses, I don't want to hear it, because if he's quote unquote injured, he's out there. So I don't want to hear it. We could have won this game. I'm not saying put him in. Like Kentucky has put him in at least a little bit. I'm not saying play Jalen Kitna. We could have won this game with Jalen Kitna. Okay, we're that much more talented than Missouri. The only way Missouri beat or almost beat Georgia is because they were in the game early. We could easily put them away early, but we didn't. This game should have been over at halftime. But it's not. We're not capitalizing on other teams' mistakes. We're not capitalizing on our true talent. We're not the most talented team in the country, but we are a talented team. We are easily a top 20 team talent-wise, easily. Borderline top 15, okay? And that remains that, and we'll wind up a top 20 ranked team, okay? So with that being said, he's just not consistent. He's missing on passes, early on, a couple swing passes. Those straight overthrows. They were unforced errors. I mean, those are passes you have to make. And he's getting more and more time, more and more games played. And I understand he's young. He didn't play really last year, but he's getting more and more games. He's getting a cleaner pocket sometimes. So, like, if it's a rush pocket, I get it, okay? But, like, if it's a clean pocket, like the pass, I think it was after the one time he had a punt return, Xavier Henderson. It was like 3rd and 6. Swing pass. He overthrows him. That is probably a first down. Extends a drive. So it goes to, like, at what point are we just going to stop making excuses and, like, hey, he's just not getting it done?
So
like, what is the true?
Rushed, like the screen you're talking about. He just rushed. He's just like,
I don't like at that point. You can't. Whatever issues he had for those two, USF and Kentucky, they're gone because Tennessee happened. So now what is it? Did he get re-injured? Like it ended like you can't eclipse 100 yards. I just don't get it, and people are making excuses. Apparently, I believe the Gators standard. What is it? Because people are moving the bar. Like, I'm sorry if I expect at least 250 yards from my starting quarterback against University of Missouri. So, people like the guy. I get it. But end of the day, results matter. And people want to move the goalposts and what their expectation is. So, before I want to start getting a rant, my feelings are well known on this particular player. I hope he improves. He's just not getting it done at all. So,
Wes, what do you thoughts on the offense?
The offense,
kind of like what Mike said. Just kind of go through.
Yeah, Etienne. I've been Etienne day one, saying Etienne should have getting more carries in the offense. He seems like the most explosive back. or at least split carries with Montreal. To Napier's credit, he did try running the ball different with Naquan Wright. Mike was saying that maybe Naquan is not fit for the zone scheme. And to Napier's credit, he kind of did had Naquan in the slot and then brought him through like almost in the jet sweep, and I think he pulled the guards. So that was good to see, to try to get Naquan different
more to his skill set.
Yeah, towards his skill set. I would like to see our tight ends get used a little bit more. You guys mentioned Sanders and Zipper both only had a catch apiece. That's, to me, that's horrible. When the plays are there, though, the plays have to be made. And I've seen everywhere fans still calling for Kitna. So the fans that are still calling for Kitna, because you saw this guy play against Eastern Washington, you have lost your mind. Eastern Washington can go undefeated and won't be in the top 25. They will not, even if they go undefeated. That's the conference that Eastern Washington plays in. So that's what you're judging Jalen Kitna doing against Eastern Washington. You saying that you saw him play a team that can never, even if they go undefeated, won't be in the top 25 because they have their own playoff. That's right. They play in a league where they have their own playoff separate than what we play in. So you can't be asking for a guy. To the fans that's asking for Kitna, this is specifically for the guys and gals that are saying Kitna should be in there. That's who you saw him against, a 5'7" DB, and that was trying to cover Caleb Douglas on a go route. Me, Kirsch, and Mike can make that throw. You know what I'm saying? And I'm being
don't give me that much credit. I can't throw the ball.
But anyway, that's my point. That you stop asking for the backup quarterback who 2 weeks ago wasn't even good enough to beat out the walk on. We already know we're not going to the SEC championship, and we think that a guy that just 2 weeks ago, that when we had Kyle Trask, who played against the SEC only schedule and broke records, Danny Wolfel, Heisman Trophy winner, Tim Tebow, Heisman Trophy winner. All these guys won the Heisman Trophy, and yet AR broke the record for most yards in an SEC game by a quarterback or by a player, period. So that's what he did 2 weeks ago. Do he need to be more consistent? I'm not going to sit and say he played well on Saturday. That's not my point. My point is this is his first year. He is young, so you got to go with the growing pains. Joe Burrow threw 6 touchdown passes all his first year. You know how old Joe Burrow is and how old Lamar Jackson is? Lamar Jackson played 3 years in the league before Joe Burrow even winning the league. So you're talking about a young guy. Joe Burrow was old when he came to LSU. You know what I'm saying? So, and then for the fans that I just can't understand how you want a young guy to get better, but you won't give him the time. You won't give him 5 games and say he ain't it. But we don't win. We're not even in the Tennessee game without this kid. We lost the Kentucky game because of him. I won't deny that. That's not the point. The point is we see what his ceiling is, and we know what his floor may be at some time. Maybe do we know what his floor is? Because we haven't given him time to get better. We through 5 games, people want to say, well, I'm done with AR. I'm done. I don't want to see him anymore. Garbage. That, to me, that's garbage when you see, oh, he's Treon Harris or he's Felipe Franks. Man, get out of here. Get out of here with that talk.
Hey Wes, before you finish, I do want you to finish what you're talking about. You're making really great points. All right, so really quick. One, Burrow had, I want to say, 15 touchdowns compared to 6 interceptions his first year, not 6 touchdowns. So give Joe some credit there. With that being said,
yes,
just playing yes or no. Okay, I'm not saying play the man. All right, you know me, Eagle High through and through. All right. Can you unequivocally say that Jalen Kitna would not have had 67 yards passing yesterday only? Can you say for a fact, yes or no?
I don't know.
A fact.
How was the time?
No, it's a yes or no. There's no. Because I'm not going to argue back. I'm asking you, yes or no. Can you say for a fact?
No, you can't say for a fact that he would have.
I never said. No, I'm not saying either. I'm just saying because I know for a fact he would never have that Tennessee game. Is what I'm saying. He will never have that type of game. So I'm asking you, can he have a better game than AR did against Missouri? That's all.
I don't know. And I'm glad you said
Hirsch, will you help me out to get an answer? Because he's not giving me I'm asking an A and B
This
answer.
is y'all.
All right, I'm just asking. Yes, because you're dodging the question. I'm asking A or B, yes or no. Do you think he can have a better than 8 out of 14 for 66 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and a lost fumble for 66 yards passing? And we all know the answer. One game.
to my point,
1 game playoff.
what I was saying earlier before
I'm not saying development. Forget development. 1 game.
What I was saying earlier before I forget what I was saying. People even go back to the Kentucky game and say AR had bad misses. I want everybody to know that Kidner is not going to see the same coverages that AR sees. AR has spies and different people don't realize that. There are more people in the box to stop him there, so they're more man-to-man, maybe back-end coverage that Kidner wants to see.
He's not a threat to run. I know.
So I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the fans that want Kidner and think it's all the same. I'm not talking to you. I said the fans that all I see Kidner. Nah, man.
I'm not talking about the outside fans that want him long term. I don't care about that. I'm just asking for 1 game. I'm not like you're thinking. You're adding all these variables. But listen, man. I'm just asking. What does Wes for the Missouri game? Like there's nothing else is on the line. His development doesn't matter. This is the final college football game of all time. Do you think he can eclipse those numbers?
Anybody can eclipse.
I can't.
Anybody can.
No, you know what? You're BSing right now, and I know why you are, and it's weak.
How is it weak? Because you want me to? Because you
won't give an answer. Then say no.
No.
There you go. That's a weak answer, man.
Okay.
You wouldn't answer. You wouldn't answer truthfully.
Because
I'm good. You got your answer. I got my answer.
If an if was a fifth, we all be drunk. I can't answer.
That's fine. I got my answer.
All right. Let's kill it. Let's move because I know how y'all go, and y'all do this all day. So, and we got 6 more games to do this for. So, and I'm sure it won't be the last time we have this conversation.
Yeah,
probably because I'm not going to get a straight answer. So,
all right.
Probably.
Well, you have y'all. It's over.
Right.
My personal opinion is, I don't know what's going on with AR health wise. But it's clear he's hurting, and they're not talking about it, which I don't blame them. Coaches aren't going to talk about that because the moment they say yes, oh, he's injured, is the moment in a pile that linebacker is trying to turn that ankle, or they're
already doing it anyways.
Yeah, I know that, but you know what I'm saying.
I've done it.
the moment that it gets out officially, his ankle is hurt. The defensive, like Wes was talking, the defensive coverages he sees will change. All of that changes because he's not going to run, or he's not going to run as hard. So let's not spy as much. Let's be a little more casual with it because he's not gonna, whatever.
I still think we're giving enough credit to opposing coaching staffs and.
I absolutely give. I'll give Stoops all the credit in the world. He played him perfectly.
No, like everyone knows he's hurt.
Absolutely. I'm not, I know that. I understand that. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying,
like, listed or not, like he's getting what he's getting. So I'm sorry, Hirsch.
I don't know what happened at halftime yesterday, and I'm not going to speculate on that. You can draw your own conclusions. But the AR we got after half was not the same AR in the first half. He ran harder. He played harder. You draw from that what you will. I'm not here to say, go watch Friday Night Lights. That's all I can tell. Not Friday Night Lights. Go watch Varsity Blues.
Bud Kilmer, baby. Come on.
Go watch Varsity Blues.
Bud Kilmer.
Anyway, Wendell wouldn't agree. But anyway.
No, I thought Wendell was down for it. It was Paul Walker.
Well, and Mox. But anyway.
Mox, here you go.
Yeah, we're rambling here. just draw from that what you will. That that happens from here to all the time, and it kind of felt like it did yesterday. But anyway, the AR we saw in the second half of that game, as far as the decision to run the ball when the run play was there and to run it with authority, affects this offense greatly as far as respect of it opened up the running game, and you saw it. The running game was much stronger in the second half when AR was running the ball, because then he does have to be respected as far as, in the first half, I saw people all over Twitter. Why isn't he running? The play is there. Why is he not running? He didn't want to run. He didn't want to. So
coaches
whatever happened.
And coaches may be telling him not to.
Well, and that's probably 100% true, but you can't call a zone run play like that if there's no threat of him running it.
But at the same time, not all zone reads are zone reads. And a lot of people, sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine, they're literally gives.
It's
not an option read. It's a give. It's just out of that offense. Sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine, but it's not all an option.
Then quit delaying the damn handoff and just hand him the ball.
I think he's carrying out the fake to make it look like it's his own.
And I get that.
Be a
I
back
understand
end going as well. It's just sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine that I've gotten.
But you saw more of the AR we expect to see in the second half, and it was much more effective. The offense ran much more effectively, and I mean, we've given Billy a lot of grief, but that was second half adjustments, and they paid off. Now, defensively, we already covered that. It is what it is. It's obviously, this roster has still got a lot of turnover needed. And that is what it is, guys. I mean, you can't just keep saying, well, we got to play this guy, we got to play that guy. Mike's harped on it from day one. I mean, obviously, this guy and that guy aren't ready to play yet. Oh, I know where you're going. No, we're not doing it.
No, I'm not, because that's to my point. But go ahead.
Okay. I dig my own hole with these two.
I didn't say nothing. I just laughed.
As far as the defense goes, anyway, I'm not going back down that road. I just feel like you're never going to see what these coaches, and I'm strictly talking about coaching now. We've kind of moved on from the offensive players. You're not going to see what these coaches bring to the table until they have their guys in their positions. It's just not going to truly show until they've got guys that they've been able to coach up without some of these terrible habits that these guys have carried over. Next year, I think you'll see a true resemblance of what their schemes will look like as opposed to what we see this year. But people got to have patience for that, man. It's just not going to happen in 6 games. It's not.
Progression.
It's progression, and it's there. That team we saw play defense the other day, aside from the third down plays, and everyone can harp on those because they're easy. It's low-hanging fruit. But what did you see on first down and second down as a whole? I mean, guys were running to the ball. Guys were making tackles. Every play? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying as a whole. We gave up 17 points. And that's with giving them 2 turnovers. I mean, it could have been a lot worse than that. But the defense, as a whole, played a lot better. I know I said earlier, the time of possession that we gave them in the first half, I'm surprised they didn't score more than 10 points. It wouldn't have surprised me.
Our defensive philosophy since week 1, bend but
don't break.
Bend but not break, and I think that it's been consistent from with the exception of Tennessee. Those chunk plays, that's what it's been. So people have always complained about.
And it goes back
defense
to it.
under 30 points most of the time, and you should be able to win the ball game. Like this week, we got 17 points.
The same point we've been making over and over and over again about the puzzle pieces. You're not playing with your puzzle. I mean, you're trying to build your puzzle with someone else's pieces. It's not going to be a masterpiece yet. It can't be. No one can do it. It just people. I put this tweet out yesterday on my personal account that people complained for years and years about Dan Mullen's recruiting, but now are surprised that those players aren't playing well.
and arguably our best player in defense is a
McElwain recruit. Exactly. It's just boggling to me. And let's not actually act like Dan Mullen recruited Brenton Cox either, because he really just didn't. I mean, that's just
he just hated Georgia.
Exactly. You can't play both sides of that card reasonably. You can't say, well, Dan Mullen recruited like crap. I hated Dan Mullen's recruiting. Hey, why aren't these guys playing well? These things don't go hand in hand. Bad players, that lowly recruited players that other teams didn't want, aren't going to come in and play just outstanding football. It's just, it's not
underdeveloped as well.
Massively underdeveloped.
I think that's another one, and because like Bernie,
massively underdeveloped.
Between being underdeveloped and like positionless players like Black, Bernie, and stuff to that nature, it's you're seeing it, unfortunately.
And I know, Wes, I know you probably want to add something, but why he said that, if Trey Dean was a sophomore, I'd feel much better about how he would be by his senior year now, because he would be coached up. But he's got 4 years of piss poor coaching habits ingrained into him. He is who he is, like Mike said at the rip.
That and his own personal mentality as well.
His own personal mentality, but it's his money here.
No. From the very beginning, like he was told to go to safety. He just didn't want to go safety. But no,
I mean, it's his money here. He knows it. He is going to be selfish, because he's not going to be with these guys for 3-4 years while this rebuild takes place. Is it a bad mentality? Yeah, for our sake it is. But for
his, told to go to safety for a while, though.
I understand that, and I'm just saying, Dean's mentality is, this is my draft year. Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, but to what Mike said earlier about Brenton Cox being better, and you said this too about him being more disciplined, it's the same thing for Brenton Cox. This is his money year, but he's playing more team-oriented ball, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 hero ball plays. He's playing more team ball than Trey Dean was earlier.
And to piggyback off what Wes said, that's making him a better player. Because at the same time,
some people buy in and some people don't.
These 32 teams, they break film down, and they're saying,
I agree. I'm not saying Dean's doing what's best for him.
Oh no, I know.
I'm saying he's doing what's best for him.
What he thinks is best for him. What he thinks is the difference. And the problem is he's not thinking long term. So they're going to bring up that film, watch you do that play.
And guess what? And you're right. Teams are not going to have to ask him to evaluate that either. They're going to say he went into business for himself. It's clear as day.
Why are you celebrating after an 11-yard gain for first down?
You're going into business for yourself. Well, we don't need that kind of player.
Correct.
And we don't need him now, to be very honest. But it's what we have.
He's already had one money year, what's he going to do in a contract year?
It's what we have, though. I mean,
correct.
You're playing the hand you were dealt, not the hand you drew. Go ahead, Wes.
Your other point, Hurst, about the fans asking those, well, there's those Mullen recruits, but Mullen can't recruit, but then why are we not playing better at certain spots? And they're not taking the time to give everything. And I say this the first very podcast, we got to stop living in the microwave mentality and let things be. If things taste better than coming out the crock pot, have that mentality. Let it slow cook and you will see how this bears fruit. They're not giving it time to. First of all, the guy got to get his own guys in, and we want it now. We want it now mentality.
It's been a problem for a long time. Patience pays off, but nobody has it. It's just everybody wants now because, and I get part of it. You look back and you say, God, we could have beat Kentucky. We should have beat Kentucky. So we should be 5-1. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that mentality from a certain standpoint. But at the same point, you're always going to have growing pains. Are you going to have mistakes like that, hiccups like that? Yes. Now, you can't – the point going forward is where you don't have those like versus a South Carolina, which you should beat. Obviously, Vanderbilt, which you should beat. Florida State, which you should beat. LSU, you should – night game at home, you should win. Got thoroughly embarrassed by the same team that on their home field, we were in it to the very last throw. I mean, LSU comes to the Swamp for 7 o'clock night game.
That's a real
rivalry. Hammer them. You should hammer them. But it's going to be a week to week. Every game on this schedule for the remaining, except maybe Vanderbilt, is a toss-up.
Coin flip.
Every single game. And the sooner you make peace with that, the better your sanity is going to be.
6 to 10 wins.
We've said it since the rip.
But unfortunately, we're not getting the consistency isn't there.
I settled in on that 8-4, 7-5. You did as well.
I was a 6 to 10. So I'm chilling.
Range, Mike.
I mean, but it's because they're virtually coin flips. I mean, they're absolutely. This team could have won 10 games, and it. I'm not going to say it still can because I don't believe it's possible. There's no way that you win every single game remaining on this schedule. There's no way. Because there's going to be a letdown in one of these weeks. It's going to happen.
Could we win? Could we lose just one?
Could we?
Absolutely. Anything can happen, but it just comes down to, in terms of what Hurst said, we don't have the consistency, let alone on defense. We don't have the consistency at the most important position on the field. Play calling on both sides of the ball can get the job done. I mean, so defensively, our coordinators can be fine. Okay, can the defense be good enough? Absolutely. Can the running back maybe they get the ball Etienne and everyone gets more carries, better rushing yards. Bottom line, AR is not consistent enough on a week by week basis. And it's not just and for the quarterback of the offense, you're right. But here's another thing: Ventrell Miller is stepping on a Lego away from this defense being in the toilet too. Correct.
I mean,
and we're defensive tackle injury away from.
You just have to temper things down and go, you know what? Next week's going to kick off 7 p.m. Anything can happen. I better just go ahead and prepare myself for it.
Yeah.
And I see too many people going, oh, well, we're beating. I'm not worried about FSU. You better.
Yeah.
Because they could beat us. They can on their field. You're not worried about it.
And to
I wouldn't say I'm
not worried about it because I can expect it to go either way, and that's my mentality. Is it could go either way. I mean, it just is what it is right now.
You don't want to see my thoughts on Anthony Richardson after that game if we lose to FSU in Tallahassee right after my birthday.
But what if it's not AR's fault? What if AR?
No. Listen, I'm going live one way or another. So
I'm just saying, AR could have lighted that game up. But what if Ventrell's out and somebody else is hurt? Yeah, we don't play running quarterbacks well. I mean, you got to. I'm just saying for the fan base. This rant I'm on right now is for the fan base. Temper your expectations week to week. Quit looking at the schedule and saying that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. We're gonna go 9-3.
They should know not to do that against LSU anyway.
They should know it with a first-year head coach. Period.
Yeah. True.
And technically, in terms of rivalry, win-loss record, it's not a rivalry. In terms of close games, it is a rivalry. They actually
LSU's been hammering us the last
significant advantage on that.
LSU walked into the swamp in 2020 to an incompetent head coach, handed them the game. Now, I don't believe our staff this year is incompetent, but I do believe our team is fragile enough as a whole. I mean, the team is fragile, and I don't mean fragile like they're going to get hurt every play. I mean like one or two things could go wrong and they could fall apart. It is that kind of build right now. And, hopefully your hope is as the season goes, they come together. And I believe they are.
I know you were talking about coaching and stuff earlier. I don't see this team as too, and I hate to say this, but no, I don't hate to say it because it's a good point. I think the team does battle. I don't think like Tennessee, they didn't give up. I don't think this team gives up. It's certain times.
I don't think they give up.
To me, it's more of who we're playing that day. I just don't think they're all to.
It's like this game, for an example. I don't think the first half, they weren't awake. They were not ready to go.
Okay.
And we've had that trouble at Florida forever in noon games, and that's here nor there. I do feel like the depth is a tremendous issue for this team, and it shows as the longer the game goes. But we've covered that, and that's fine. I'm not going to get going down that path again. But it's year one. The coaching staff has to flip this roster, get their guys, coach up their guys, and until that happens, you can pretty much expect anything to happen week to week. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. Week to week, you can't expect a well-oiled machine to come out and play football as of right now.
Agreed.
So with that being said, guys, because we're getting a little long in the tooth here. We've just said it. We kind of already covered it as far as our expectations for this season. Have they changed for you in any way, shape, or form?
Not at all. They've actually gone down. I'm expecting.
Wes? I know, Mikey. Mikey, do you need to elaborate on that any more than that?
I would just say not at all. If anything, they've gone down more, unfortunately. I know, like, I gave more credit than I should have, unfortunately, for Anthony Richardson. I thought he was further along in his development. I thought he had keyword potential to have, he could carry us and have that. We had enough talent around us, and yes, we're thin. But if you have a Cam Newton type season, sky's the limit. You know what I mean? And you just carry your team like how he carried us against Utah, for example, and defense as well. But however, if you have certain couple of games he's had, it's just not going to happen. So I didn't think that he had that possibility in him. Unfortunately, it's rearing its ugly head. So like I said, I could seriously, I would not be shocked at all, or if 6 wins occurred. Like I would before, if I wouldn't have put that on him. At that point, I'd put it solely on him, essentially. So I'd move the blame.
Wes, expectations?
No, my expectations haven't changed. I still believe, as we saw a couple weeks ago, he can be that guy. The thing is, I didn't know he would have these type of games, but that's my fault. The same thing when you have to admit when you're wrong sometimes, and me realizing that the kid didn't play last year. He played last year, but he only started one game, and he started against Georgia, against the number one defense probably was called in the history of college football, with a coach that didn't care anymore. So I think I put too much on his development this year and should have looked at this year. I got caught up in the hype to him being a first-round pick, top 10 pick, instead of knowing, okay, this is the year that we see him grow and mature. And then next year, maybe he can be that Cam Newton. If he doesn't, then that's on him, because this is my year for you to get reps. So next year I can't come in and defend you when Mike says this, or you say this, or the fans say this. You got your year. You got your year up under your belt. You got reps in the same offense. You coming back. This was your first year in this offense. You coming back next year. So I think I put too much on this plate. And I forgot the guys that we did have on defense as far as secondary wise, as far as safety wise, and as far as our D line, as far as depth that you guys talked about. But I still think we've seen we've seen the best game in Florida Gator history as far as quarterbacks is concerned, as far as anybody's concerned. So it's there. Now you just got to master it and be consistent about it. And I'm a true believer in this. We all played ball. We all been around ball. If I've never golfed a day in my life. I don't know if you guys ever golf. I don't know if you guys ever play soccer. But you guys are athletes, right? So I guess if I put you, whether it's ping pong or whatever, you've never done it before, and I give you a year to do it, you might not be an expert at it, but you'll get better. So this is that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like the more and more he gets reps, the better and better he gets. He has no choice but to get better because he's an athlete. That's what athletes do. That's whatever you do. You may not be an expert at it, but I guarantee you'll be better than you was last year. So that we'll see.
Well,
Hirsch?
no, I'm going to get this one.
Okay.
I know where you're not doing it.
Oh man.
No. We will see because athletes do have a ceiling, mentally and physically.
Thank you.
So the only thing we will see real fast is has he reached his? I personally don't think he has, but we've got to see something. Like I have heard that Mullen just basically didn't give him any kind of attention last year after all that went down, that he basically, we all know what we've heard about Mullen, that he checked out, that he wants to show everyone he was the smartest guy in the room, this, that, and the other. I know Brian Johnson believed in AR a lot.
That hurt.
But here's what I'm going to say. I don't care what he hears. The kid needs to come back. There is no, to me, it ain't even a conversation piece at this point. Now, I don't know what his personal situations in life completely are. I do know he's had a lot of pressure put on him by people around him, but he's got to do something to drown some of that out and realize what's best for him in the next 40 years of his life. And I'm just worried that somebody's going to pressure him into making the wrong decision, and in 3 or 4 years, he's going to be in and out of the league. Whereas if he came back and he hasn't reached that ceiling mentally and physically yet, he can develop, he can show that he can learn a system, progress in a system, learn to go through his reads, because he still struggles with that tremendously. And once again, game 6. So yes, I mean, going through your reads isn't something that everyone, I know some people will say, well, elite quarterbacks have it. And they do. I'm not saying AR is an elite quarterback. I think he's an elite athlete. He's having to learn to play quarterback. And you can be an elite athlete that learns to play quarterback and become a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's not Peyton Manning. He's not, Tom Brady. But he can be the next great, Cam Newton-esque player. But Cam Newton didn't do all that in one season. People just say, oh, he had a great season. But he also went to a junior college, learned his craft, and lit it up.
and then he had a first year. He had 1 year of learning his scheme.
Yeah,
he didn't have a year to learn it. So that there goes to, you don't necessarily have to learn it. You just good. It's one and done.
But you don't remember a lot of the throws and whatnot Cam made in that season either. I mean,
I recall.
I mean, you know how many touchdowns Cam threw that year?
I know how many losses he had.
He's definitely the unicorn of that situation.
He's an out. You're 100% right. He's an outlier. But I'm just saying it.
But he also had a full year of starting somewhere before that as well.
Correct.
He didn't just come in that 1 year and just absolutely just, go from starting 2 games or 1 game and,
You're right.
And then
He was healthy enough to start 1 year. You're right.
God. So,
I'm sorry, Hirsch.
Go ahead. Say
No,
what
this
you
is
need to say.
I'm gonna go crazy on this. This is what you're saying. Definitely, that Tennessee game. That was an SEC game, and we already spoke on this. The best UF game was I want to say Sugar Bowl versus Cincinnati with Tebow. But the main thing is, and Hurst really spoke about it. There is a cap, like on an athlete. Yeah, like golf, for example. Yeah, I'm gonna get better golfing. I'm gonna get better most of the time. Someone can get better doing certain things most of the time. Okay, if you're physically capable. But like, if Emory Jones comes back, is he getting better? No, he's awful. So like, there isn't for certain people. I'm not saying AR is in this category, but like, we can't assume due to his physical capabilities that he will be able to make that read. I still have no idea why Emory makes these reads. I was watching Arizona State game a couple weeks ago, and I almost puked. So, I mean, that's all I want to say on that. We just can't assume. That's all I'm saying. We can't give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's what I've always said. He's given us no reason to. Tennessee game happens, okay. But then another game happens. No, that's why I wait. That's all.
And I think that's the point Wes was just making there, that if he comes back, all excuses are off at that point. He's been given,
but I don't provide, and I know I know what you're saying. I know what Wes is saying, but I wanted to wait beforehand. I'm not going to anoint him the Heisman. Right now he's in the bottom half of the SEC tier quarterbacks.
So with that being said, guys, the main message that we want to send home from this show absolutely is temper your expectations. Quit assuming that just because it's a new staff, you're going to see just completely 180 results in year one. We've been saying it. We said it with recruiting. I mean, from the very first episode in recruiting, patience. And look what happened. You've got to let these guys plant the seeds and grow. And it's just, it goes back to what Billy said, the first press conference. It's not, you're not going to be happy every single day with me. You're going to be frustrated, but it's the long-term result that you got to go for. 6 games is not a long-term result. 6 games is a very, very short sample size of anything. So, and we're 4-2. It's not like we're 2-4. We're not Coral Gables, who haven't beat a Division I team yet.
We're up above 500.
So, we have a win over what was the top 10 team. We have an SEC win, which, I mean, it's not like we're, waving pom-poms about that we won an SEC game. We're not saying that. We're saying progression is there, and it could be a lot worse. I guarantee you, Miami fans, whether they'll say it out loud or not, would switch places with us right now.
And against the hardest schedule in the country.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. It's not even debatable.
Regardless of what Kentucky's ranked today, and what Utah's ranked today, we have a loss against the top 6 team, which we're going to find out about how real they are very quickly. And I think they're a lot realer than we thought they were.
Their offense is good.
I mean, I think they're going to give Bama all they want next week. I really think that. I'm not saying they're winning. I'm saying they're going to give Bama all they want next week. So, Kentucky laid an egg, but, never trust a Will Levis-led football team. Mike said it out loud and still picked them to win this week. But anyway, because it was a Spencer Rattler-led team. Anyway, guys, we will cover all of that and more on our next episode. Got a very, very, very huge recruiting weekend next week. So make sure you listen into the next episode. We've got a lot of stuff to cover in recruiting on the next episode. This is going to be an absolutely huge week for recruiting. So Thursday, if you haven't heard, it looks like Dejon Johnson is going to go ahead and make his commitment on Thursday, as well as safety Bryce Thornton out of Georgia. So we might, depending on how it works for everybody, we might have to have a special 20, 30-minute episode just to kind of cover it.
Emergency pod.
Yeah, just an emergency good news pod, if you will. We'll tweet it out, let you know what's happening, obviously, with that going on. But guys, be good fans. Try to be rational. That's all I can keep saying to you. Don't call for firing so quickly like we like to do. Kerry Colbert would like to have a word with you.
My dog. My dog.
He's got two or three of the best young receivers in the NFL right now, and people wanted him fired, in the first month of his tenure. His class is full. His players look good. That's what you got to realize, man, is it just doesn't happen overnight. So, guys, before we jump out of here, anything you'd like to add? Mike?
You would make me go first. All right. This isn't meant for Wes, so it comes off as that. I apologize. Wes. No. So the main thing is stop making excuses for AR. Look at the big picture. Okay. Obviously, he is young. All right. But take every game for what it is. All right. If he has a crappy game, don't assume he's going to be crap. Now, look for him to bounce back. Same in terms of a great game in terms of Tennessee. Now look for the consistency for one way or another. If he is back-to-back crappy games, if that third one happens, well, I'm going to talk to my boy Jalen, and we may have a powwow. Now, with that being said, always keep in mind Bateman's got us. Maybe not in the trail, but at least he is coaching a little bit. I'll give him that.
Wes.
Yeah, that's why I stole your line earlier.
I know. Hey, I never said he wasn't a good coach.
No.
That's a line of the show, though. Ultimately, that's a line of the show.
I've been on Bateman. I've been on him recruiting.
Pause, bro. Goodness gracious.
I've been
on that going on.
Not like that, man.
Come on, hurry up.
Just caught that. But anyway, so it is good to see Bernie progressing and kind of echoing what Mike said. AR, I just want him to progress and get better. That's all I want to see is consistency. Like the swing passes that he was missing, and then he throws the rope to Ricky. I mean, that was an elite throw that he fit between a defender that was covering somebody that was elite. I just want to see more of that stuff. I don't know if Napier has to find what he likes more. Maybe that's on the play caller. That's what we gave Dan Mullen a lot of credit for, be able to tailor things to the quarterback. So hopefully we see more of that upcoming, especially when we play LSU Saturday. Can't wait to go over that game. Can't wait to see that game. It's always a classic when we play them. Always going to come down. So look for the pod this week, as Hirsch said. So, and I do not want to see Kenton. I don't think he's ready. Go ahead.
I don't either. I don't either.
Guys, thank you as always for tuning in. I know sometimes we go on tangents and little rambles, but we do it because we're passionate, and we love the Gators, and we want to see us, get better. Because if you're not getting better, Mike,
you're getting worse.
Absolutely. Speaking of Mike will most likely be in the trenches for LSU next week. Make sure you keep an eye out for that of all our little videos, and Mike trying to give himself heart palpitations with all the 5-Hour Energy extra strength. Shout out to 5-Hour Energy drink. Drop a sponsorship because we love you and we're giving you all the attention. All right, guys, we're about to jump out of here. We appreciate you each and every week listening in. Hopefully you share and agree with a lot of our opinions, and even if you don't, that's what we're here for, man. That's what we do. Not going to agree with everything, but we all have the best intentions in mind. We want to see the Florida Gators get to be back on top where they belong. Wes, what's up?
I did see some comments on YouTube this past from our past episode Thursday. If you guys have any questions for us, Hirsch would do one on Twitter and I'll do the one on Facebook. So we may pick a couple of you guys' questions this week.
Yeah, and ask questions. If you want to leave a comment in YouTube with a question,
we'll respond
do so.
on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Any platform.
Anytime you leave a comment on YouTube, if you've got a question you want us to answer, if that's where you listen to us or you view us, leave your question there, and we'll do our best to answer it. We're going to get a lot better at doing that than we have been the last few weeks. A lot going on. But as always, guys, make sure go ahead and set it download on any podcast platform that you listen to. We're available on all of them now across the board. You can find us everywhere. And if you don't, like I said, you can find us on YouTube. Respect Our Decision. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It helps us a tremendous amount as we grow this brand and try to bring more to you here in the future. We got a lot of interviews we want to try to line up for you guys in the future when as the season gets to an end. We're not going to stop. Just because the season stops, recruiting never stops. So we will always have new content through different avenues, whether it be interviews with players about their recruitment, former players about their experiences in recruitment. We got a lot of stuff planned, guys. And, we dropped this right as the season began. So we're kind of we're adjusting this on the fly and getting our rhythm going here. But we're starting to get starting to find it. So with that being said, guys, we want to just say thank you very much. We appreciate you. If you'd like to support us as creators, check us out on Patreon. Respect Our Decision. All the love helps, and we appreciate it very much. Until then, go Gators.
Go Gators.
Peace out, guys.